tweet like everyone else did from the Ring magazine. I actually thought that that's not true. I thought it was a stunt.
And no doubt about that, there's no question marks. I mean, you look back to what happened at White Hart Lane all those years ago with Michael Watson and health and safety and the security of boxers. That was
fake news. Yeah, I'm not having that. So let's wait and see. If it's true, that's a shame. You'll love to get to the bottom of it. But I'd heard this.
The boxing world was shaken to its core when Conor Benn suddenly withdrew from his highly anticipated rematch with Chris Eubank Jr. What was supposed to be the culmination of months of hype, build-up, and heated rivalry evaporated in a single announcement. Eddie Hearn's confirmation hit like a thunderclap.
So I found out today stating that he's asked him for an extension period because he's injured before being ordered to do anything.
Across the sport, instantly plunging fans, promoters, and analysts into disbelief. Just like that, weeks of training, media promotion, ticket sales, and anticipation were left hanging in limbo. Insiders immediately began whispering,
but obviously we wanted to come here today and formally announce that Chris Eubank Jr. against Conor Benn has been officially postponed.
The same thing, injury. And soon enough, Frank Warren stepped forward to confirm it. Benn's withdrawal was indeed injury-related, and his team had formally requested more time. But this wasn't merely a postponed fight. This was a rupture in the narrative.
At the moment, then that's what he's coping with.
His camp have written to asked him for a period of time to before they have to defend the title. So we'll see what.
A disruption so big that the integrity of the rivalry itself felt compromised. Once again, Conor Benn's reliability was under scrutiny, raising questions that the boxing community has grown tired of asking. Is Benn really built for the big stage? Or is he a fighter whose reputation is now outpacing his ability to deliver?
Definitely, there is going to be, there needs to be an inquiry straight after this, why, what. But that's why I'm here. This news is as fresh to me as it is you. I'm quite sure when this goes out, it's going to be all over the place.
Johnny Nelson didn't hesitate to put it plainly. In a sport governed by discipline, transparency, and preparation, Benn's sudden exit sent shockwaves of doubt. Rumors swirled, speculation ran wild, and Nelson made it clear that
doing things we don't expect him to do, right? Okay, he was favored to win. Most of us thought he'd find a way.
That accountability was now mandatory. He stressed that the boxing world deserves straightforward answers, because when a main event fighter collapses at the last moment, it undermines every element of professionalism the sport stands on. Adam Smith echoed that sentiment.
Okay, but he will have seen the doctor, and the doctor will make that decision on whether he should fight or whether he shouldn't fight. I mean, listen, this is the hurt business. You can only go in there 100%.
Expectations were sky high. Benn had been positioned as the fighter ready to seize the moment, ready to rise under the weight of hype. Instead, the unthinkable occurred. The fighter who was supposed to step into the spotlight simply didn't. Inconsistency.
I don't like that. People schedule fights and then they pull out, oh, I was injured. Well, if you was injured, you won't be injured in 4
overshadowed everything. Analysts found themselves shaking their heads as Benn's pattern of build-up versus breakdown surfaced yet again. Spencer Oliver added a sobering truth to the discussion. In boxing, you cannot show up at 60%, 70%, or anything short of your...
Something popped up and you said it's fake news that the fight was off and all this sort of stuff was going on about some poisoning, scandal, foolishness, and they tried to shut this thing down. And I'm saying that's fake news. Yeah, I'm not having that. So let's wait and see. If it's true, that's a shame. You'll love to get to the bottom of it. But I'd heard this yesterday, but I just put it down as fake news. It's not real. So all we can do is react to what we know, so we can speculate.
Full capability. If you climb into the ring half prepared, you don't just lose, you risk serious, irreversible damage. Benn's injury, Oliver argued, wasn't just another excuse. It was a red flag signaling that the fighter wasn't mentally or physically aligned for the task ahead. And in a sport where margins are razor thin, that kind of uncertainty is devastating. Frustration grew quickly. Fans, journalists, and insiders didn't just question Benn's injury, They questioned the credibility of the entire situation. This was not the first time Benn had left people waiting, and repeated withdrawals have...
Well, he's pissed off. I mean, he was a big fight. He's trained very hard. If you don't fight, you don't get paid. And you imagine the cost involved in a training camp, booking places to set the camp up, bringing the sparring partners in, the nutritionists, the chefs, trainers and everybody, and you don't get paid.
A way of eroding trust. In boxing, where momentum and consistency build legacies, Benn's reputation was starting to teeter dangerously. As outlandish theories began circulating online, including ridiculous poisoning rumors, Johnny Nelson stepped in once more to restore clarity. He called the conspiracies absolute nonsense and reminded everyone that boxing thrives on drama, not fiction. In a moment where emotions ran high, Nelson urged the community to stay focused on verified facts rather than fueling baseless controversy. Frank Warren's irritation was clear. Benn's
Warren, of course, starting with Turkey al-Sheikh, to find that love.
Last-minute pullout didn't just disrupt excitement, it caused financial chaos. Camps spend months preparing. Sparring partners, trainers, nutritionists, logistics staff, marketing teams. All of it represents time, money, and relentless effort. Benn's abrupt disappearance didn't just disappoint fans, it undermined the entire infrastructure that keeps major events alive. The man touted as a rising welterweight star had once again injected uncertainty into a process built on precision. Teddy Atlas didn't mince words either.
You're only getting one Rolls Royce this year, mate. Don't worry about that.
I might do, you never know. might sabotage you again, Chris.
Conor, you said that you're not emotionally invested as much this time round in the fight or in Chris Eubank Jr.
You know what it is, Jamie? I think once you learn about Chris, you learn to understand he is just the way he is. But he has my respect for being one hell of a fighter.
Promoters were now scrambling to save the event, hunting for a replacement with almost no time. The puzzle was immense. Even if someone stepped in, the card's energy, credibility, and financial expectations had already taken a hit. Benn's absence wasn't merely inconvenient, it was embarrassing for everyone involved. Months of hype evaporated overnight, leaving people questioning whether Benn had the stability and professionalism to carry a marquee fight. Then Benn's own words surfaced. Bold talk of taking souls paired with an admission that he was sidelined by what many deemed a laughable excuse, a toenail injury. The contrast was painful. The bravado, the tough talk, the promise of destruction, all of it collapsed under the weight of an injury that sounded more like a punchline than a legitimate...
And this is about levels, isn't it, Simon? Do you see what I mean? I'd like to think he could hold his own with Eubank, but I just see Eubank's size just being too much for
reason to pull out. Fans couldn't help but roll their eyes as the disparity between talk and action grew even wider. Duke McKenzie stepped forward next, offering one of the clearest assessments of the reality behind the hype. This fight, he explained, wasn't just a rivalry, it was a clash of levels. Benn was stepping into dangerous territory against a man who had size, strength, experience, and technical depth far beyond what Benn brought to the table. McKenzie laid out the harsh truth. Eubank Jr. was simply the superior physical and technical specimen, and Benn's inflated confidence looked increasingly misplaced. Derek Chisora backed up that sentiment with a breakdown of why Eubank Jr. is such a nightmare opponent. It wasn't just about power, it was his timing, precision, shot selection, and relentless combinations. A fighter who can throw
somebody we will not find out, at least for about 20 years. Yeah, but if I'm a real murder people, don't like to brag about it. He don't brag.
Throw 7 consecutive punches with accuracy and intention exposes gaps instantly. Benn, who relies heavily on emotion and bravado, would be swallowed whole by that kind of clinical attack. The numbers didn't lie. Eubank was on another level. Bulma offered yet another perspective, painting a picture of Eubank Jr. as a man with purpose, intensity, and focus. His camp operated like a machine, engineering strategies meant to exploit every flaw Benn had shown. While Benn struggled just to remain present, Eubank was sharpening his weapons. The contrast was brutal. One fighter preparing to dominate, the other struggling just to stay in the conversation. Even Benn's earlier boasts were shredded.
I think Chris is... I think he want to put a stamp on the win. That's what he definitely want to do. He want to put a stamp on it. And I can see it. I can see the way he training in camp, and that's what the trainer wants. You want to see the fighter, man, push extra and push.
Under scrutiny. Duke McKenzie highlighted how unrealistic Benn's knockout predictions were. Benn isn't a knockout artist, especially not against someone as physically imposing and technically disciplined as Eubank. Blind aggression, sloppy shots, and emotional outbursts don't win fights at elite levels. Benn's lack of awareness only underscored the widening gap between his hype and reality. As the dust settled, the truth became unavoidable. Conor Benn's withdrawal was not just another schedule change. It was a massive blow to his credibility and a harsh reminder that in boxing, talk means nothing without execution. Eubank Jr. remains ready, disciplined, and fully locked in, while Benn's reliability has once again crumbled under pressure. Fans are left...
Really his style, Conor Benn. Conor Benn's not a massive puncher, not even at welterweight, so really he's kind of mugged himself off a little bit by saying, I'm going to knock this guy out. He didn't give Eubank enough respect. Like I say, he was throwing shots at several points in that fight and he wasn't even looking where they were going. It was just like head down and winging the shots over.
Left with one pressing question. Has Conor Benn blown his chance at redemption for good? Or can he somehow rebuild, regroup, and prove the critics wrong? Drop your thoughts below. This debate is far from over.